Sorry, I have notes, but this is my first podcast or vlog, whatever you want to call it. This is the Knit and Spin with Brie, which is me. I'm Brie, yes, like the cheese. It's short for Brianna. I am a knitter, crocheter, weaver, spinner, hand dyer. I'm new to the weaving, spinning, and hand dyeing yarn, but this is a knitting podcast, but has fiber arts, majorly just fiber arts in general. I am a mother of 2, and I have a wonderful husband, and I am currently living in the Silicon Valley. So, since I've never done this before, I'm just gonna dive into, I'm sorry about the glare on my glasses, but I really can't see without them. I'm just gonna dive into things that I have finished recently. It's gonna be kind of a documentation of my, let's say, fiber journey. So I'm just gonna talk about what I've made, what I'm making, and all that stuff. And I hope you guys enjoy it. So first off, this isn't a recent finished object, but my cardigan that I'm wearing, it's really hard to tell, but it's like a deep forest green. Most of it is my hand spun yarn, except for the sleeves because I ran out. But wrote down the pattern, which is smart. This one is called, wow, the Protage cardigan by Melissa. I can't pronounce the last name, but I will put it all spelled out on the little pop-up thing. It has like this really cute like honeycomb pattern for the back panel. It's hard to see the detail, but it's easier to see it on the reverse side, I think. But as soon as I finish making this, I wear it all the time. I wear it in my office because my boss keeps it like Arctic weather, even though we've had such a wow, heat wave and cold snap. So I wear it all the time in the office because when I put it on, I can't feel the wind, I can't feel chills. It's super cozy and warm. So that's one of my finished objects. Another few of my finished objects is things that I've recently sent in to the Alpaca Owners Association National Fiber Show or National Fleece Show. A few weekends ago, last weekend, and that was, I'll put in pictures, but those were some of my also recent finished objects. One was a sweater made out of 100% alpaca fiber from a local farm, my mother-in-law's farm, Rockstar Alpacas, and it was completely hand spun yarn, and the pattern was Jennifer Steingast. Oh my god, Silver Lining is the pattern that I used, but it turned out super pretty and I was really proud of it, so I'm like, I'll just send it in and see how it goes. And it took second place in my little category, so I was very proud of that. And then I sent in some hand spun alpaca yarn also from Rockstar Alpaca Ranch, and one of them took first place, which I just did it for fun, and I was just over the moon when I saw the results, so I was just very proud of that. Anyway, so I keep flipping my notes because I've put all my detailed information on the back for like finished objects and things like that on the back, but then my little scripty thing is on the front. So also, I have recently been commissioned to do a special item for a family member as a surprise, and I'm very excited to do it. I will put in a picture of all of the things that I dyed for it, but I actually just finished one of the rovings that I dyed, and then I actually spun it up and her favorite color is yellow. That's not my favorite color, but I figured that yellow and purple, they go together because they're directly across from each other from the color wheel. They're supposed to be complements, and I'm just like, I'll throw some green in there, it'll be good. And it turned very like Jamaica really fast. And then I spun it purposely trying to do a fractal spin, and literally in the middle of my spin, or plying I guess, the colors matched up, so it's completely self-striping in certain areas. So there's green, yellow, and purple, and then it's a fractal for the rest. I don't know how that happened, especially with how I split the fiber to spin it. Anyway, this is a Targhee bamboo silk blend from Paradise Fibers fiber subscription box, and I just had it on hand, so I was like, oh, I'll just dye that and spin it and see how it works. It's after I spun it, and then I dyed it, spun it, and then I washed it after I spun it to set the twist. It's like obnoxiously bouncy. I did not think that it was going to be this bouncy. I spun it for a fingering weight, and it bloomed to like probably a DK. It's super stretchy and super fluffy. I can't stop touching it. I don't like the colors. I don't like how it turned out, but I love how floofy it is. It's not like the softest, but I think the bounce and the squish is what really attracts me to it. Anyway, so this might be incorporated into the object that I will be making for this family member. In case she sees this, I don't want to specify, but like what I will be making. But in future episodes, I'll probably put progress or whatever, what I've been making for her. Anyway, another item that I dyed for this particular item, because she likes yellow, and not golden yellow, but like baby duckling yellow. and it looks a lot brighter on camera than it actually is. It's, even in this light, it looks really freaking bright, but it's not as bright as this. It's actually a little bit softer. It's not so like, oh my God, in your face. This is like staring at the sun yellow. But this one is a Polworth. I like to mix up the fibers, I guess, with projects. I don't stay consistent. I just kind of, whatever I have on hand that's dyeable, I'm like, I'll just dye that and then spin it and then mix it together in any sort of project. It's fine, even though fibers block out differently and they react differently depending on what you make. We'll see how it works out. So after I dyed both these rovings, I didn't so much how yellow this was, and then I dyed the other one with the purple and the green, and then I'm like, oh God, it's Jamaica. I do really like how fluffy it is, but then I decided to dye just actual yarn, and I came up with these, which I actually really like. Instead of doing purple, I chose hot pink to accent the colors that I used, and they're super sparkly and pretty. Majority yellow, which is what I like, except for this middle one. It was in the bath after the roving, so it just kind of sucked up all the extra color, but I kind of like how these work. So I'm not sure if I'm going to, and these yarns are really soft. I think that it's an 80-20 blend of merino and nylon. It's one of my bases that I have for dyeing. I threw everything in a bag, so I don't know which is which is, you know, a mistake on my part, but by feel I can tell that it's very soft. I'm excited to start the item. But I'm not sure if I'm going to finish spinning up all of that fiber and then use that, or just use these. I feel like it's a little extra special if it's hand spun, but it's nice when it's hand dyed too. And this is really soft. So we'll see. Anyway, another thing that I've recently spun is this. I had a bag of just like Melons that I bought forever ago, and this was the remnants, and it was a lot of like the blended color fiber, and I had like a bunch of little nests of similar, and so I just kind of split them all up and did them in kind of like a pattern-ish, and I came up with this. I'm kind of digging the gold, and I feel like this would be really cool in some sort of color work. Excuse me. This would be really cool in some sort of color work, with either like a gray in the background or something high contrast. So I thought that would be really cool. But it's literally a mixture of fibers. I don't know exactly what it is. It's mostly merino, but there's like one part in here that has like a silk in it, so it's like shiny, but I thought it was cool. It's soft and squishy, which I like. I just finished this one yesterday. This one I'm very proud of. It is put up the brown, or like deep chocolate brown, is Harmonia, who is an alpaca from my mother-in-law's farm. She is no longer with us, but this is spun out of some of her fiber, and then the colorful ply, the pink and purple shiny ply, is a merino tencel blend that I bought. But the colors look so beautiful together, and I ended up spending, let me count, this was 8 ounces, a little over 8 ounces for the skein, and alpaca is really dense, so it weighs a little bit more. I spun 602 yards for this one skein, and it's a fingering weight, definitely. It'll look really beautiful in a shawl or something, but see, it's really soft. Harmonia's fiber is very, very fine and soft for an alpaca. Very proud. Okay, so I think that's all finished objects that are recent. I will have more things that I'll just kind of bring in that were past. Sorry, I'm not looking at the camera all that often because I don't like seeing myself. I can tell you what I'm drinking, because a lot of podcasters that I follow and I watch weekly, they all drink tea or coffee or cappuccinos or whatever, but I only have time to film in the afternoons or late evenings because I have 2 kids and they go to bed, and I can only film after they go to bed because otherwise they're going to be too loud and it's too crazy. So I'm drinking wine and drinking Wilderness Oak Chardonnay from California. I bought it at Grocery Outlet, Bargain Market. It's kind of one of the best places to, if you're not too picky about wine, Grocery Outlet's a good option because they're rather inexpensive, which I enjoy. So, and this one's actually pretty good for a Chardonnay. So, that's what I'm drinking. So if you ever see me take a sip from my glass. So let's go into works in progress. What I'm knitting currently is also a Jennifer Steingast pattern called Sonora by Jennifer Steingast Knit Love Wool. So this is all of my hand spun fiber, also 100% alpaca from Rockstar Alpaca Ranch. I am getting pretty close to finishing the body of it, but the color work is, the contrast itself is just beautiful. I love how it's turning out. But yes. Okay, well, that was embarrassing. Camera malfunctions, falling. So anyway, what I was saying, this pattern, I love all of Jennifer Steingast's patterns for color work. I've made three of her patterns. I have like 10 of her patterns in my Ravelry, but it's super easy pattern repeats to memorize for each round, and it's almost like potato chip knitting because you have to get through all the color work like in a reasonable amount of time. So the yoke did not take me that long. Now that it's just stockinette, I get kind of bored, so I switch between spinning and knitting. So instead of having a bunch of casted on projects, I flop between knitting and spinning, so I don't get bored all the time. Wow, the camera angle is way off now. Okay, anyway. What I'm spinning currently is, I wrote it down, the Paradise Fibers monthly fiber box of the mixed blue Blue-Faced Lester and Tussa that I hand dyed, and it's, like, you can actually see it, but it was dyed in kind of a gradient between purple and then fuchsia-y and a gray. The fiber itself was already like a mixed gray, but that's what I'm working on my Ashford E-Spinner 3, I believe is what it's called. So yeah, that's what I've been working on and what I've finished recently. I am also the hand dyer behind Doodlebug Yarn shop in Etsy, and that's all capital first letters of each word. Otherwise you can't find it, which is weird. You can find me on Ravelry as DoodleBugYarnCo, as well as on Instagram as DoodleBugYarnCo as well. So, a little story behind the name. When my first son was born, we kind of just had like a nickname, and we would call him either Moose or Doodle, and we still call him Doodle to this day. And suddenly, I don't know, I think it was a few months ago, I started calling my youngest son Bug. So, Doodlebug. And I wanted to be very personal. So, and unique. I keep saying so, and I noticed that, as well as I will try to actively not do that anymore. Dramatic pauses are okay. In my shop, I have most of the yarn posted that's behind me in my shop. And then I also have a lot of my hand spun yarns. You can't see them because they're behind the chair. But my hand spun yarn is also in the shop that I recently posted because I did a bunch of things recently to kind of get the ball rolling on that. And the goal overall is to have eventually maybe a brick and mortar shop for yarn, and then do my own classes. And yeah, if I lived in a world of yarn all the time, I would just be super happy. And I feel like a podcast about knitting is a good way to meet converse with other people that are obsessed with fiber as much as I am. I don't have a lot of people in my life that are crazy fiber people, or knitting or crafting in general. So I'm very wanting to have more of those friends to discuss things like this. But anyway, thanks for tuning in. I will hopefully be able to do this once a week to show progress, what I'm working on, what things are going on in my shop, or just to say hi, to sit and knit or spin. But this is more of an introduction. I hope you enjoyed, and I will be seeing you guys soon. Thank you. Yes, I'm like covering half the camera with my hand, and she just stepped on my foot. Foxy. Oh, goodness. Oh, you're so dirty. They're all pretty much very loving. So Foxy is Iron Maiden's daughter. Sometimes they fight, but right Right now they're being pleasant. Oh goodness. Yes. Don't nibble at me. Ah, don't nibble at me. Don't be mean.